By Robert Reich. He is a former labor secretary under Bill Clinton. He's a professor of public policy at UC Berkeley. He's a columnist for The Guardian. He's a co-founder of the Economic Policy Institute and the author of a new and important book coming up short, a memoir of my America. Bob, good to see you. It occurred to me that your book is actually, in addition to being a double entendre, is actually a sort of a memoir about America, right? Because we came up short for the last 40, 50 years. We could have made other decisions, and we actually still can to make this a fairer economy.
Undoubtedly. We can, we didn't, but there's still time, Ali. I mean, I think that Donald Trump is in many ways a culmination and a consequence of 50 years in which we did not make the right decisions.
And all of the things that I sort of outlined, and there are probably many, many more that you've thought about that we can do to make this a fairer and more equal society, all of them have been tried in other countries. Many of them have been fully adopted in a universal fashion in other countries. And ironically, those are all the countries that end up on these lists of best places to live and places where people are happiest. And they don't tend to cost more money. They actually usually tend to save money and get more people into the economy.
And the question is, why don't we do them? And the answer is because big corporations and a lot of very wealthy people have so much money invested in politics, and there's so much money in our political system that it makes it almost impossible to do any of these things. So one of the first things that we have to do, we progressives, if we ever get power back, is to get big money out of politics. We could talk about how to do that, but one other thing that struck me, and I agree totally. I watched your monologue before the break, Ali, and it was purely, I mean, it was exactly right. And I kept on asking myself, number one, why doesn't every Democratic candidate have that script and say those words? Because they're true, they're important. And the second thing that I kept asking myself is, why aren't you on Fox News? I mean, we're preaching to the converted.
Yes.
I mean, a lot of people who watch, I love MSNBC, but a lot of people who watch MSNBC really already understand some of this.
Yeah, no, I think that's right.
We've got to make sure that the working class of America, particularly people who voted for Trump, get this message.
Yeah, and there was a world, it wasn't that long ago, where the kind of people who are frustrated with the economy and who voted for Donald Trump because of it might have voted for someone else and probably were actually more likely to be Democrats. There is a way to, I mean, all the words I said are people's lived experiences, right? People are frustrated because they've watched for 40 or 50 years. They've watched the rich get richer, and they've watched this BS argument that the rich need to get richer for this to benefit you somehow. We're trapped in this world where the rich, not only it's too much money in politics, look at our cabinet. I think there are 13 billionaires.
And look at Elon Musk investing $250 million in getting Trump elected. I mean, we know what's going on. People see it. They feel it. I was in Houston yesterday, peddling my book. And a lot of those people in Houston who I talked to, they are not doctrinaire Trumpers. They're not doctrinaire Republicans. They have lived this. They know trickle-down economics doesn't work. They know that the system is corrupt in terms of big money from corporations. And it's not a hard sell to enable them to see what's going on.
I kind of get frustrated with everybody talking about socialists all the time because a lot of the things that I outlined in that monologue exist in countries and are supported by liberals and conservatives in those countries. Because when you talk about things like universal health care, the return on investment makes sense. If you're a conservative, it's like, hey, I can spend less money on health care and get a better outcome and have a longer lifespan and have people healthier. Sounds like that fits into conservative ideals as much as they fit into liberal ideals.
Absolutely. And the same thing with child care and elder care and all of the things that people need. It would make the country stronger. It would make productivity greater. If we had, for example, workers sharing in the profits of big companies, big profitable companies, they would have the ability to turn around and take their money and buy a lot of the things that are being created in the United States economy. And therefore, we would not be flirting, as we are now, with a recession. I mean, trickle-down economics is a hoax. It doesn't work. We've now tried it with Ronald Reagan, with George W. Bush, and now with Donald Trump twice. And what we get is nothing trickles down. And we also get an incredible, larger federal deficit and debt. If we hadn't had those three major tax cuts, mostly for the rich, we wouldn't have the debt problem we now have.
So you really do study this, and you do videos on it, and you write books about it. Like, you really understand this stuff. What's the impediment? I mean, you joked about being on Fox News to have this conversation, which is, you're right, short of that happening, because nobody's calling from Fox. How do you get this message out to people? Because you can do so while validating their actual concerns. So if you voted for Donald Trump because the price of eggs was too high, I get it. We can make all this right.
Well, I think the Democratic Party and the people who are running and the office holders in the Democratic Party in Congress, they have got to be speaking out of this same hymnal. I mean, this is not only has the virtue of being truthful, but it also has the virtue of being powerful. People, as we've been talking, people understand it. It affirms their life experience.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, there are too many, I call them corporate and Wall Street Democrats, who are very, very afraid to bite the hands that feed them. They don't want to, piss off their corporate donors. They don't want to get a lot of their big affluent donors angry with them. I remember when Barack Obama called Wall Streeters fat cats.
Yep.
I mean, that's the worst thing he said to them, and it was as if suddenly the ceiling fell in on him. Well, Democrats have got to be courageous, and they've got to say, I don't care. If that big money dries up, small funding will come my way, and it's important that Americans hear the truth.